Should we do a countdown?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Hey!
Howdy. It's time for
Welcome!
it's time for yet another standing Stanley Tucci. I'm David.
I'm Hannah, and the Stanitude continues.
It's fantastic.
It's
We're
getting meaty this time.
Oh yeah, we've got our first meaty roles for the Tooch.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about his three appearances on Miami Vice, which is the most 80s-ist thing to
It's
ever 80s.
it's incredible just how 80s this show is. We've watched some 80s ass shows before in our time on this podcast, but this one might take the cake.
No, yeah. So Stanley Tucci was in three episodes of the show. The first episode was just sort of a casual walk-on role.
Yeah.
But then they loved him so much that they brought him back for the season 4 premiere for a starring villain role for the episode.
Yeah.
And then they wrote that episode and they were like, this guy is so sexy that we need to write a whole episode about him seducing the female lead of the show.
I mean, yeah, pretty much that. That's what they did.
So that's the story. So of course, Miami Vice, in typical 80s cop show fashion, has an obsession with with Italian crime families, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that I think is where the Tooch comes in, and he comes in clutch. But his first role is not as a mobster, but just as a typical suburban dad.
He's a dad. He's Steven Demarco, Mr.
Right.
DeMarco, who just wanted a little Colombian baby, and so he got one.
Right. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm doing an Italian accent, but he doesn't have any kind of accent in this role. It's just regular Tucci, just like talking.
He's the regular Tooch.
This is the 1986 episode Baby Blues. I believe it's in season 3. Do you
yes,
recall?
Season 3. It's a cheeky little episode. It opens immediately with like a bunch of babies being kidnapped in Colombia. From their mothers, and then cuts to like a year later, and the mother is distraught and in the talking to the police, talking to our Vice crew, trying to find this child, and they're like, have any birthmarks? This is not going to turn up anything. But then little did they know, they run into the Famiglia crime guy, criminal lawyer, who is sneaking in entire plane loads of babies, just crates of babies.
Yeah, but only the cute ones.
No, I don't think he discriminates. I think he's just like, you want a baby? I get you a baby.
No, that's what the whole opening was. He was like, nah, take that one back to its mother. It's hideous. Get that shit out of here.
Right.
Only the cute babies get a Porsche for their 16th birthday.
The good babies. But, the whole thing is that sometimes he brings the babies in these crates. Sometimes they don't make it, these poor babies. And he's like he's this heartless lawyer type.
Who just commits a lot of murder also.
Right. Very casual murders. He's the type of guy who, if you're like a witness who is threatening to take the stand against him, he will just sneak through the air vents with a gun to shoot you himself as a lawyer who makes, $50,000 a day.
Yeah. Well, but so, he does witness intimidation, and that's where the Tooch comes in, because the Tooch is willing to testify against this lawyer, saying like, oh yeah, he was always kind of slimy. I never liked him.
He's a pig, he says.
Yeah. Our first son that we
Familia
adopted.
Guy, he's a pig.
The first son we adopted through him, he died. And so he's like, don't worry about it. I'll get you another baby.
Right, yeah.
He gets him another baby, and he's like, I'm glad to have this baby, but that guy's weird.
Right. And he doesn't really seem that like worried about the idea that if these criminal charges like go through, they might lose their new daughter.
Yeah.
They don't seem particularly worried about that, but you
No.
know, that might be a character choice. He might be, you know, I want out of this marriage. I never wanted this kid. I just did it, you know, because the wife.
Yeah. But whatchamacallit? So the lawyer intimidates them, and Tucci refuses to
Right.
testify.
We don't see the intimidation. I have
Well,
my own little headcanon about this appearance because
it's
I
when the
see
guy.
the acting going on, right? There's a lot
Yes.
of acting happening. And
Yeah.
so we've got Tucci here, right? He's playing this guy Demarco, clearly an Italian guy. But when he's talking about Famiglia, he calls him three different names. He calls him Famiglia, Familia, and Famigla. So he's like
Wait, did he
purposefully
really?
mispronouncing this guy's name. I don't go back and watch the episode. I can see his process. He's purposefully mispronouncing this guy's name, almost like he's trying to convince the cops that he is not of Italian descent. And the reason why is, Hannah, get ready. He is the twin brother of Frank Mosca in Witness Protection. That's why he has access to like $50,000 just lying around to buy a kid off the black market.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem that worried about it at first. And then we don't see how he gets threatened. But I think he got threatened by this Famiglia guy coming to his house and saying, hey, look, well, you know, you can take the stand, but you're going to have to reveal your true identity.
Oh my God.
And I got ties to the Mosca crime family.
Yeah, it's a good headcanon, David. I like the connections. No.
You'll notice that none of the characters who see Demarco, I believe, none of the characters who see Demarco and talk to him ever meet Frank Mosca. So it doesn't contradict that, you know, that they would see somebody who looks like Demarco, who looks identical to him.
That is true. The female officers have switched about by season 4.
Right. So it's totally plausible.
Yeah.
Firmly headcanon.
Yeah. So that pretty much wraps up the Tooch in Baby Blues. So I do want to make a note of this episode does end with the extrajudicial killing of the lawyer.
I don't think that's extrajudicial at all. Like, I think it's pretty suspect if you're crawling around in the vents with a gun. I think that's a justified police shooting.
I don't know. I would maybe disagree. All these episodes just end with the
crawling around in the air vents with a gun besides, Die Hard, besides Bruce Willis?
Probably a guilty person, but I also don't think the cops should shoot him. That's just gonna be my stance on that.
He would have shot them. I mean, he had a gun.
He did have a gun.
They didn't de-escalate. I'll give you that. But
yeah.
But I think this is, if there's ever a case where
it's propaganda, David. If you pop out into a room and there's a bunch of cops and they're like, freeze, are you gonna shoot at them, or are you gonna be like, okay, shit, you got me? Like, I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know, but he didn't drop the gun immediately, so he was either really stunned, and people who are stunned can do pretty crazy things. I don't know. We're getting way off track.
Get back to the Tooch. So now we get 2 recurring roles in season 4, Contempt of Court and Blood and Roses, and they sort of happen on opposite ends of this season. Contempt of Court is the season 4 opener.
He's like bookending like the core of the show, like the heart of the show. The show ran for how many seasons total? Hold on, let me check.
I don't know what the Miami Vice theme song is. I listened to it.
Yeah, right. We listened to
4 times, and I still don't know what it is. It's not memorable.
Well, it had 5 seasons. It ran for 5 seasons. So this was season 4. It's like just after, you know, we've hit our peak, and we bring in the Tooch to bookend our you know, season 4.
Yeah. There's some random ass YouTube compilations out there calling Frank Mosca Miami Vice's greatest villain.
Yes, I'm so excited
Which,
that that is the truth. We'll have to provide like links to those or something.
yeah.
But I think he is a great villain. I think he's
He
very
is
suave.
very
He's very
charming, very
classy.
Tooch.
You can see a video of him behind me if you're watching the video version, casually lighting what I think it's a napkin on fire to make it do that thing where it's in a tube and it flies up in the air from the hot air.
Yeah. And he's doing this as he's being arrested, casually.
Casually. I think casual is business casual is his aesthetic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As a mobster. He's not, you know, he's not your psychopathic, you know, Pacino type mobster. No. He's not your extremely dignified you know, classic Italian mobster like in The Godfather. Mm-hmm. He's just like business casual.
Yeah. Which, you know, feels very 80s. Like that if the 80s were anything, it's definitely business casual.
Biz Kaz. Right. So the episode opens with him getting arrested, which is pretty atypical for a Miami Vice story.
Right.
It's not a courtroom drama show. It's more about the investigations typically. So this is like a really interesting case that this is the guy, we know he's guilty, we've got him dead to rights, but he's a very powerful man. He's got a lot of connections. Yeah. The whole episode is this courtroom drama with some investigation on the side.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what you were saying, you know, the title is Contempt of Court, and you know, right. it's working on multiple levels, David.
Absolutely.
Because Stanley Tucci's Frank Mosca, you know, is very contemptuous of the whole court process. He's very casual about it and disrespectful. Right. He's passing candy around the whole time and like throwing snacks to the gallery. But then we also get a detective, the main detective, Sonny, who just will not give up the inside man. He will not give up the source, and he gets actually held in contempt of court for doing so.
Right. So it's this ironic thing where he respects the law and he respects the position, but he's being held in contempt of court, whereas this guy, this mobster, he's got no respect for the court. He's very flippant. Here are just a few of the things that he casually does, which are amazing to me. He's passing around delicious chocolates in his first courtroom scene. He's casually chewing gum while discussing information with his lawyer, who's eating an ice cream on the street. He's throwing chocolates across the room to people who want to eat some delicious chocolate. He's laughing, and his folks are clapping for him when something something goes his way.
Right.
And, there was one other thing. What was what else happened?
I mean, I think that pretty much covers it.
No, it was the exploding envelope. That was it.
The exploding envelope. Which part was
you missed that part? It was about like halfway through the episode. They're holding up as evidence an envelope that had like the insignia of his business on it, like to submit it to evidence. And the prosecutor puts it down on the table and he starts smoking. And then they're like, "Get down!" And then it explodes and sprays glitter everywhere because, okay, maybe he is a little Jokerish. Maybe he's a little bit like the Joker. He loves to pull pranks. And it's like that alone would get you contempt of court, I feel. Yeah. Like, I guess they couldn't prove that it was him who tampered with that evidence, but...
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's not good. But so the main thrust of the episode is trying to protect witnesses from Frank Mosca, who is trying to
silence witnesses.
Silence everyone. Oh, that's another thing he does. He like openly brags in the courtroom because at first he's got bail and then his bail gets revoked, and so he has to go sit in prison during the trial. And he's like, great, tell Giuliano's to send a steak over, and like, you know, it's just like, yeah, give me all this stuff in prison. And then he gets it.
Not a steak, Hannah. It's more Italian than that. It was veal cutlets.
Veal cutlets. And
Giuliano's. Make sure they know where to send the veal cutlets. Oh, and Louis, don't forget the cannoli.
Don't forget the cannoli. So funny.
It's the opposite of the Godfather scene where they say, like, take the gun, leave the cannoli. This is don't forget the cannoli.
Don't forget the cannoli.
It's too much. Great. I mean, look, we're in a period in Tucci's career where he is really pigeonholed into a particular role. And
right, but he makes the most of it. For sure.
He makes the most of it, but he's going to escape this eventually, and he's going to stop, for the most part, playing into harmful Italian stereotypes. That being said, if we're going to have harmful Italian stereotypes, let them be played by Stanley Tucci.
Please, I beg of you. The Tucci 5 ever. Yeah, no, he does an incredible job. Yeah, so he gets a witness killed in this one. That's what happened.
He's looking for like the mole in his organization, and you know, for one person, he's just like, hey, you didn't rat on me, did you? And he's like, no. And he's like, look me in the eye. Did you rat on me? No, I didn't. So your conscience is clear? And he's like, yeah. My conscience is clear. And he's like, oh, all right. And he starts walking away, and he
pats him on the face,
silence pistol.
Just shoots him.
Shoots him cold. And then he's like, well, now I guess your conscience is going to be clear forever.
Yeah. Either way. And then he was wrong because it wasn't that guy.
It wasn't that guy, but that's not the point. He was trying to strike fear in the hearts, you know? He was setting an example.
Yeah, but the guy who it was is friends with Sonny, and Sonny knows the kid too, who's like a football champ or something, who wears the same shirt for like 13 days.
Well, he doesn't have a father anymore to tell him to change his shirt.
Change his shirt.
Because Frank Mosca's guys killed him.
Where were you? I was at the playoffs, the big game.
Big game. I love the line that he has where he's talking to his lawyer, and the lawyer's like, please don't kill the witnesses. Just like tell me their names and I will discredit them on the stand. And he's like, that may be the way they do it in Harvard. And then he kisses him on the cheek. It's such a Tucci moment.
Yeah. He's so suave. Like, he just has so much charisma. And, like, I think this role in both this episode and in Blood and Roses just, like, really showcases, like, how charismatic and, like, scene-stealing he really is. Because, he's doing deplorable things, but you're like, I just want to watch more.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You would watch a whole show just about him as the leader of the Moscow. He could have been Tony Soprano. Like, he's that kind of, except for, no, he's not like gritty and down to earth enough to be, Tony. He would have to be like the classy version of Tony. Tony with class.
He's like Don Draper merged with Tony Soprano.
Yes. That is a fantastic description.
That is exactly what's going on.
Oh, and he's being like, he's in Miami, obviously, because he's just there for like his home. But we should specify he's very much a New Jersey, Italian crime family.
Yes, he's expanding the money laundering and murdering.
Right. He's expanding the money laundering and the murdering into new territory.
Yeah.
But he's also, he funds the New Jersey's leading charities,
he
right?
does.
That's what the lawyer said. Is like, he's the president of a successful corporation. He donates to charity. He's a great guy.
He's such a good guy. But he gets this witness killed. He gets him like arrested on like trumped up charges so that he gets put in prison, and then I guess has the guard kill him.
Yeah.
It's unclear.
No. It is the guard. The guards
Okay.
kill him when they're taking him out to be released into police custody.
Yeah.
And they, there's this great shot of like watching Sonny is like trying to see him like walking out, and he walks just out of frame and just out of the frame where you can see him through the like mirror things that security guards use.
Yeah.
The like rounded mirror, whatever. He walks just out of sight around a corner, and then you just hear stab, and then scream, and it's pretty good.
But then the kid is really distraught, right?
Yes, very distraught. He comes at him with the gun when he's coming out of the courtroom because there's a mistrial.
There's a mistrial, right? Because they get to one of the jurors and they bribe him.
Right, which, kind of a bad system where by bribing a jury member, you actually get yourself out of prison.
Right.
As opposed to getting yourself in more prison. Like your bail gets offered again instead of having your bail taken even more away.
Right. It's very interesting at the
and while his bail was revoked the first time, he's like sitting there reading a newspaper, very casual.
Yeah, he's like, it is what it is. They set his bail at like $1 million, and he's like, right. Yeah, great, whatever.
Yeah, I got a game of racquetball later. Hey, Sonny, you play racquetball?
I got a court at 7. Hey. But yeah, so the kid tries to shoot him as he's leaving the courthouse, and Sonny is like, we gotta stop. You can't. Don't throw your dad's whole thing away.
Right.
If you do this,
he wanted
we'll
you to not be
him.
in prison. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he wanted you to not be in prison. Plus, he wants this guy to go to prison, and he's gonna go to prison soon. We promise. We just gotta get another trial together. And the kid finally acquiesces, and we guess everything is fine. ?
We guess. I think the real highlight of this episode is just seeing Tucci in prison, where he still looks fabulous.
Oh yeah, and is still so in control.
He's just eating fully catered, veal dinner, and he's wearing a suit in prison where everyone else is in
and a silk robe and slippers.
Yes.
And,
oh my god, it's
just
so classy.
Bottles of alcohol.
Right. just not hiding at all the fact that this is give me the nice cell, Louis.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so
great.
What about his triumphant return?
18 episodes later, in the 19th episode of season 4, Blood and Roses, the team is on a stakeout of this other guy named Cook, his mansion, and who should turn up but Frank Mosca. We've got the Tooch back in the picture. And
just wanders back into the episode.
Yeah. Which, is strange because they did say they were going to try to charge him again as soon as
I guess they couldn't get any dirt on him because there was no more moles left. He killed them all because he's that good.
I guess. Which is kind of sad for that kid because they promised him that they were going to get him.
Yeah, pretty sad for that kid. We don't meet him in this episode at all.
No, he doesn't come back.
We got him.
Yeah, no sort of closure there at all.
Right. But this is an episode where one of the cops is undercover as Gina Troiano from South Philly. And she says, yeah, because immediately the Tooch is smitten with this undercover cop.
Yeah.
For drama's sake. And so he's trying to figure out, who she is, where she's from. And he's like, oh, you're from South Philly. My cousin has a
cheesesteak stand.
A cheesesteak place, because of course.
On Broad and Pine. Philly, where else?
Right. And she says, on a date it was hold the onions, but otherwise smother it. And they say smother it at the same time, and it's they're meat cute.
Oh my god. Yeah, well, so the other Mark that is trying to hit on her, and he's slimy and pawing at her, but
not
Tucci
this guy who loves onions. And by the way, Hannah, it's time for the Tucci fun fact of the week.
Oh my god,
it's coming in right here because it's relevant. This is our Tucci fun fact of the week. When asked what his favorite smell was, Stanley Tucci said basil or sauteing onions. So maybe working a little bit of his character into the script that he loves onions.
I feel so blessed to know this fact right now, because those are very good smells, and I have to agree with Stanley Tucci on this one.
Basil or sauteed onions.
I mean, if you ever smell that shit cooking and you walk out, you're ready for a meal, you know?
Right.
Like, it's some good shit. Gosh, Stanley, no, what a master.
Master craftsman.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just still reeling from this amazing fun fact. So they strike up a romance, an undercover romance. You know, she's playing him, trying to get him to reveal secrets, and she's undercover as an interior designer, and he checks out her history, and it all clears, and they go on some dates, and he's very suave, and invites her over, and he's like, I've got this house with all these rooms that need decorating, like, any advice? And she's like, well, how about this style or that style? She suggests Art Deco, and he goes, no, I don't want anything old, only new.
Art Deco, Art Schmecco, he says.
Yeah, he does.
Because this character is a poet. In an earlier scene, he says, interior design, that would be fine. I made a little rhyme. So I don't know. I feel like it's very possible that he improv'd some of these takes, or at least put his own spin on them, because
who's writing that? It's great though.
He's writing that for Tucci if he's not writing that for himself. I just don't know.
Delightful. But yeah, so then they bond over minimalism, and she makes some like fun jokes about charging more.
They're really hitting it off.
They've got some chemistry. Like, they really do. And meanwhile, Sonny is like, this guy's dangerous. If he makes you, he'll kill you. And is very much worried for his are they love interests? I don't know enough about Miami Vice.
They are love interests, because they do kiss later in the episode, and I think it's supposed to be a romantic culmination of their friendship and workplace relationship. Yeah. But she's too far. She's in too deep, right?
She is. We have to talk about the uncomfortable part now.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is a show written in the 80s, and I think probably written by men. And there's a scene where
almost 100% written by men.
Right. There's a scene where both characters, Gina and
Tucci.
Oh,
Frank.
They're both drunk, and they're dancing around in the apartment. He's clearly trying to make a pass at her, and because she's an undercover cop, she keeps saying, no, I'm not into it. And then they he just starts sort of blazing past her lack of consent.
Yeah. It's definitely some minor sexual assault, if not implied rape.
Right. And so then the next scene that we see her, obviously she's traumatized, and I was like, oh wow, that's quite a place for a network TV show to go. But
in the 80s.
Right, in the 80s. But then immediately afterward, it's a conversation between the two female cops, the two female detectives. And do you want to explain it? It's bad.
It's just very bad, because she's like, Gina says to the other female cop, she's like, I'm in too deep. I shouldn't have let it get this far.
Right. And she's like, it's not your fault. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
As women. And it's our female gender does make us sometimes be attracted to bad boys.
Well, it's not even that. She's just like, sometimes we just make bad mistakes. We're women.
Yeah, that is.
Like,
I think that
literally,
is the
it's just
line.
like,
Yeah.
we're women. We're dumb sometimes. Our hormones,
Right.
like, they literally
Our
say hormones.
Yeah.
And it's like,
the
and also, like, I was very confused about what she was traumatized about, because one part seemed like she was traumatized about being sexually assaulted, but it also seems like she was maybe traumatized because she was actually had like feelings for
right.
this guy.
That seems to
And
be what the implication was that we're supposed to instinctually think that she feels shame that she was taken advantage of, but instead we're seeing that she is feeling shame that she allowed herself to fall for the bad boy of the
right,
Tooch, the raw sexual energy of Stanley Tucci,
right, which is
just
just like,
overtook her and defeated her professionalism, and so her career has been compromised.
it's just so wildly problematic in so many ways that it's just like
Intensely.
so unsympathetic to women in general, and like sexual assault victims and survivors as like a subgroup of women. And
Right.
it's bad, and the
No, it's
writers
bad.
should feel bad.
But what does it say about the Tooch, about his performance, that someone would decide that when writing a story about a woman going undercover with a sicko murderer like psychopath guy,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that their first instinct in how to write it is, yeah, but what if actually she just falls completely in love
In
with
love
him
with him.
immediately?
Yeah. And then when he rapes her, it's fine. Like,
Right.
she doesn't have a problem with that. It's that she
Right.
kind of loves
She's
him.
like, she's like even, thinking about getting even more serious with him,
Right.
until he finds her out that she's a cop.
Right. And there's a strange moment at the end, like after he's found her out, where, he's got her like in a warehouse, and it's,
Yeah, yeah.
implied that he's gonna try to kill her or something. She asks, like, how long have you known? He's like, well, I didn't know until after I'd already had you. And she's like, ugh, you pig. And it's like, okay, like, a little too late.
Right. Well, it's a little crass to say.
Yeah.
It's, come on, you can't just talk about it in public. But like, it's yeah, it is a weird way to end that character arc for this multiple episode villain.
I
Is just to
know,
be
it's
like,
very strange.
but also we had sex, and I think there
We
was also a joke where it's like where the cop yells at him like, "Get on the ground." It's like, "Oh, you guys love that, don't you?"
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like really terrible about the fact that he took advantage of this woman. And like it's totally, like he's the bad guy. It's not portrayed as like, oh,
No,
what a swell guy saying that shit.
right. I
But
guess
like,
maybe it is portrayed that way in that he does call to apologize the next day. He's like,
oh
it's
yeah.
just so overcome with your beauty.
And alcohol.
And yeah,
Yeah, send her flowers, and like sends a guy to pick her up, and like it's
yeah,
very strange and uncomfortable.
very strange.
Um, but yeah,
But this
so
was his first big villain role. I
yeah,
think that's
he does some
so.
murder in this one. He
Yeah,
murders.
he's going to be a worse guy than even just a mobster rapist. Like in the future, he's going to be an even worse person in The
Yes,
Lovely Bones. But we'll get
we'll get there.
there. Do you want to finish up with a little bit of the news stand, the Tooch news or whatever we decided to call it?
Well, we didn't talk about how we say goodbye to Frank Mosca
Oh,
really
that's right.
fast.
Yeah.
So Frank Mosca, he kills a cop he's paying off. He kills the romantic interest from the beginning, who he was also trying to be in business with. And then he finds out that his girlfriend is a cop, so he's trying to kill her. And then she and the two other cops, Sonny and Rico, all gang up on him, and
He
Gina
casually
manages.
rides up this like material elevator in this
Yeah,
factory, and he's just
but
like
then
very very suave while he's doing it.
yeah, but then he gets killed.
Right,
He
he
gets
gets
shot.
shot.
So
by
more fun.
Gina.
Yeah, and it's
The
like
lady undercover
her
cop.
revenge. But like
Right.
also, because there's like this strange like look between Gina and Sunny at the end where
Right.
Sunny's
Yeah.
like, "You shot him," but she's like, "I did shoot him." But like you shot that other guy and it was fine. I feel like you shoot people a
Right.
lot on Miami Vice. Like I don't understand what the problem here is. Anyway, so we say goodbye to Frank Mosca with his death. That's a series wrap on Stanley Tucci for Miami
That's a wrap.
Vice. But yeah, so that's it. This was his first big chunky meaty role. Yeah, let's do some Tucci news, and then we'll talk about what we're gonna jump into next time on Stanley Tucci.
It's Tucci news.
Tucci news.
Okay, so in the last week, what we've had in terms of Tucci news was a return to his very controversial "I take responsibility" PSA.
Well, you say it like he was the only one in it. There were lots of celebrities.
Right, but he was featured in it,
Yes.
And maybe he had some role in writing. I don't know. I don't know who is responsible for it, but if you want to check it out, it is very cringe. It is like the definition of cringe. But
Yeah,
it was,
you know,
following the resurgence of Black Lives Matter, a bunch of white celebrities, including
Kristen
Aaron.
Bell.
Yeah, Kristen Bell, Aaron Paul, I think.
Yep, from Breaking Bad.
For Breaking Bad. I can't remember who else, but a bunch of them came together to just be like, I'm white, I'm part of the problem.
Basically like all your white faves, including Stanley Tucci.
Which doesn't really change anything to just go on the internet and say, I am a racist. By accident, not on purpose.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Right. It would be better to be left unsaid, in fact, and to just actually do things, that help, Black actors, Black, filmmakers.
And this is right. This is from several months ago. This is from June.
Right, but apparently immediately afterward, Phoebe Robinson had a call out, and so this is the Decider article titled "Phoebe Robinson calls out Stanley Tucci's I Take Responsibility" PSA, saying, "quote Explain yourself." And this was August 17th,
which is
written up by Claire Spellberg. Thanks, Claire.
It's a very clickbaity title.
Sure, but she does call him out in reality.
She does.
He says, Tucci, where you at, boo? Explain yourself. which is, maybe he
because
should.
We all want more from Stanley Tucci, because we all love him and stan him and want him to do the right thing.
Of course,
and
right.
So, Phoebe just wants the best from the Tucci, as do we all.
That being said, Tucci, and I mean, we may explore this in more depth, but he has absolutely zero social media presence. He is very boomer mindset in terms of the internet. He does not know what he is doing. So it's not like he would just, see this video calling out the PSA and then tweet back at Phoebe Robinson being like, yeah, no, it is a little cringe, LOL,
right.
Whatever. He would not say that. He would just sort of slink into the shadows and just kind of distance himself from it.
I'm going to go work on my weird movies now.
Right, exactly. He'll go work on his weird movies.
Yeah. But, so, in the video, just a quote from the article, Phoebe says, yeah, they feel bad they don't have Black friends.
Right, which I don't know if that was the point of the thing. It was more like, we contribute to racism by...
Right, but that's part of it.
By not challenging the status quo or whatever. I don't remember them saying anything about like, I need more Black friends.
Well, yeah.
But that is a super yikesy, weird thing to say as a white person. Because there's nothing preventing you from having Black friends. It is so easy to be friends with people.
Yeah. It's just putting yourself out there.
Right.
But so, Phoebe Robinson goes on to say, I think if you want to be more you want to be more inclusive, hire people of color, support Black businesses, do something that's actually going to impact the lives of people instead of just shooting a video in black and white like you went to film school. Which,
right,
like,
which he did.
What a good
Well, he
critique.
went to theater school, but
he went to theater school, David.
Also, I didn't say, for those of you who don't know who Phoebe Robinson is, she's from Two Dope Queens, and she's been in some films as well. You know, I think she might be our first example of a whomst we also, in a segment we call whomst we also stan.
Yes. Can I add a whomst we also stan to this particular episode?
Lay it on me.
Edward James Olmos is in
Oh,
Miami
absolutely,
Vice.
Edward James Olmos.
Another whomst I also stan.
Another whomst we also. He played the character Lieutenant Martin Castillo on the Miami Vice episode. This was also one of his first big meaty roles. He was on Hill Street Blues before that, but before that he was mostly playing, you know, drunks and druggies in random episodes of television. Yeah. Of course, you might know Edward James Olmos from his role as Jaime Escalante in Stand and Deliver, where he teaches calculus to the inner city teens. Or I don't know if they are inner city. The poor and forgotten teens. He has an asteroid named after him, asteroid 5608 Olmos.
I'm pretty sure that's for his role in Battlestar Galactica.
I believe you are right. But before he was offered the role on Battlestar Galactica, he was actually offered the role to star in Star Trek: The Next Generation as the captain.
Oh,
turned down that role, probably because he knew that Battlestar Galactica would be the one that really stands the test of time critically. And he said, I will be Commander Adama.
David, are you sure about that comment?
No. But yeah, I think it is good to stan Edward James Olmos, though. You know, because
please let us know if he's for some reason the most problematic person we've never heard of. But
right, he might be. I don't know. I just did like very surface level research.
Right,
but he has always been a guy who wants to elevate Latino roles, Latinx roles for film and television. You know, he played a Supreme Court justice on West Wing. He played, you know, commanders and captains and police officers.
Like he's got gravitas. He's got, you know, just like this quiet sense of command. Like, you know, his lieutenant is not one of these like barking, yelling orders all the time lieutenants that you often see on like crime TV shows. It's very understated with just sort of like, here are the facts, here are the rules, and we're gonna stick to them. Kind of no nonsense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He does a lot of voice work because of his very commanding voice, and he puts his money where his mouth is as well. In 2001, he was arrested for protesting the Navy bombings, the practice bombings that they were doing in Puerto Rico. And he spent 20 days in jail, which I think, you know, props to him for that.
It's legit. On the front lines, direct action.
And he was also out with a broom after the Rodney King protests in 1992 to sweep up.
I like the phrase "out with a broom."
Yeah, very funny to me.
So that I think wraps it up for whomst we also stan.
Right.
So Phoebe Robinson and Edward James Olmos, hats off to both of you for this week's episode.
Very much so.
David, what are we diving into next time?
I believe the next on our list is the cult classic horror movie Monkey Shines, in which Tucci has a small role, but we will, as usual, read way more into it than is normal or natural, because we stand an absolute king. And we'll hit you with more Stan knowledge on Stanley Tucci.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.